Actually, so yeah, welcome to the workshop. My name is Emma, and I am a DevOps engineer. I work for Capgemini, and I've been a DevOps engineer now for coming up to a year. I used to be a teacher before that, and I retrained, and yeah, I'm having a great time. Love my job, really enjoying it. Working with pipelines, infrastructure as code, clouds. It's very collaborative and it's a really supportive place to work. So yeah, I'm having lots of fun. And the reason why I decided to do this workshop was because when I was retraining, I was interested in pipelines and I did a tutorial myself, I think with Jenkins, but there's so many different tools out there, it's hard to know which one to go for. And since I've been working as a DevOps engineer, I've started to use GitHub Actions, and I think it's a really great resource, especially when you're just starting out, learning to code, understanding what happens when you develop on your machine locally. How do you get that app that you're making? How do you get it deployed and on a site that you can share with other people? So that's what I want to show you today. Yeah, can you see my screen? Lovely. Okay, good. So I will keep an eye on the chat. If you have any questions, please just put them in the chat. I have put everything in some markdown files, some instructions for people to follow. So you don't have to just listen to me. There's instructions in there for you. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do is in the chat, I'm going to share my GitHub repo. And if you find that, what I would suggest maybe is to have two windows, two browsers next to each other. Have my repo in one with the markdown files for you to follow along. And then in the other one, log into GitHub, and that's where you can write your pipeline. If you get stuck, I would recommend to use AI, use a Gen AI chatbots like Gemini or ChatGPT. Just you can copy my markdown instructions, stick it in there, let it know what you're stuck with, and hopefully that should be helpful. Okay, so we're going to start off with our first pipeline. Let's have a look. So it's in the in my repo. If you click on my first pipeline.md, looks like this. And just a little intro. You don't need any coding experience today, okay? You can do everything within the browser. All you need is to have a GitHub account. So you can do everything in the browser today if you want to. So what we're going to do is start off by going to this link here and creating a new repository. So I'm going to open up a new tab. Ooh. Just going to sort out my screen, sorry. Okay, yeah, and we're going to give it a name. Call it Pipeline Workshop. You guys are probably ahead of me already. And I've got one already, so I'm just going to call mine Pipeline Workshop 2. I'm going to leave everything else as it is and create the repo. And a repository needs to have some code in it. So we can just, in this quick setup box here, create a new file. We're going to call it notes.txt, and you can write anything there. Hello from London. I'm in London. And we can commit these changes. So that's just basically saying save the changes, click this green button. It will automatically think of a commit message for you, so we don't even have to think about that, and we're going to commit the change. Okay, now we're going to create our first pipeline. So we're going to add a new file now. So we're going to click on this plus arrow here, create new file, and we're going to, it's called first.yaml, but we need to nest it in some folders. So I'm just going to copy this from the README, and I'm just going to paste it straight in there, and hopefully, yeah, so it's created a .github folder. So the dot means it's hidden, and then inside that folder, another directory, another folder called workflows, and here's the name of my file, and it's a YAML file. So I'm going to commit those, I'm going to commit those changes. No, I'm not going to commit them yet. I haven't put anything in there. But what is a YAML file, you might be asking? So in this help guidance, I've got some key concepts. So it gives you a little bit of information about what a YAML file is, but if you're writing pipelines, that is the type of language that you're going to be using, YAML language. And it stands for YAML ain't markup language, because I think it was originally made as markup language like HTML, but it's mostly used now for data serialization, so just data really, and configuring, so like making pipelines. And it's nice and easy to read, and we're going to have a look. We're going to make one now. There's different file extensions you can use, .yaml or .yml. They both do the same thing. Okay, so we're going to go back to the file now, and if you want to, you can just copy and paste it in. If you prefer to write it, up to you. But to save time, I'm just going to copy and paste it in. And just talk you through what these different parts of a pipeline file do, okay? So first of all, a pipeline needs to have a name. So line 1, quite straightforward. And then don't worry about the spaces. You can have spaces if you want. I've just put them in for readability, but you don't have to keep the spaces the same as me. But on is, if I scroll back down to the bottom of my markdown file, it tells us what these different parts are. So on is our trigger, okay? So it tells us what needs to happen for this pipeline to run, this automatic pipeline that's going to do some things to deploy your app, okay? So the most common one that we use is push. And what it means is that anytime we commit any changes to this repository, that this pipeline will run. So we can automatically do things anytime we push to our repository, we can run this pipeline and it can automatically do things like pipelines can run tests automatically, so you don't have to manually do them. Pipelines can build your app. Pipelines can deploy your app. So these things that are part of a developer's workflow, rather than you having to put those commands into a terminal, you can automatically do it straight from GitHub. As GitHub Actions is actually part of GitHub and it's all integrated. It's really nice. And as long as you put your YAML file in the right folder, GitHub Actions will just find it and run it for you. So we've got our trigger, okay? So our trigger is on push. So that's a really important part of the pipeline. It needs to have a trigger. When is this pipeline going to run? And another part of a pipeline is the jobs. So you have to write jobs and then the colon, and then underneath that you're going to give a job a name. So I've got one job in this pipeline and I've called it output message. You can give your job any name you want. So you could try changing the name if you want to. You should notice that this line is indented, so that means that it's part of the jobs. It's part of the job section. YAML likes spaces rather than tabs. If you're a tabber like I am, with YAML, try getting used to doing spaces, and when you indent with 2 spaces. Okay, so we've got our job, and then we've got runs on, and this, for each job, will run on its own runner, it's called, and it's basically a machine somewhere. It can be a virtual machine, but it's a server that runs your commands and executes the code. So Ubuntu latest is the one that GitHub Actions docs has, and it's free and it's got all the tools that we need to do what we're going to do tonight. So unless you have any reason to use another runner, just go for Ubuntu latest. And then in a job, we have steps, and you can have multiple steps in a job, and steps are part of a job, and we write them as a list. And you need to, for a list, you need to include a hyphen, and for each new step in the list. And as you can see, I've got 2 steps in the list. One of them is to check out the code. So that's something that you have to do in a pipeline. The first step should always be to check out the code. And then the next step, we're going to run a command. So we're going to keep our first pipeline nice and simple and just going to run a command in the pipeline. So I'm going to go ahead and commit those changes. Okay, and we're going to watch our first pipeline run. So go up to the Actions tab, and you can see your pipeline is here in the Actions sidebar, and you can see that it's actually running. So if you click on it, it's got your job in there, output message. It's finished now, so it's told me that it's run successfully. And if I click on this job, you can see all the steps in that job. So Actions will automatically add some steps that we don't have to do. So setup job, post checkout codes, complete job, they're steps that Actions will put in automatically. But checkout code is there, so we can click on that and have a little look. And here you can see all the logs. So in a nutshell, what it's doing here is it's taking a copy of your repository in GitHub and it's loading it onto your runner and just setting it up to use it. So that's checking out the code. And then if we go to print message, it's got your commands and it's output the message here. Okay. Did that work for you? Can I see if, can everyone just give me a thumbs up and let me know? Great. Okay, lovely. Excellent. All right. So maybe we can try doing a few different things. So we've set up our pipeline to run every time we push code. So we can change something. All right. So if we go back to our code, go into notes. I'm going to put an exclamation mark. Oh no, I need to go into edit this file. I'm going to put in an exclamation mark and I'm going to commit that change and see, is my pipeline going to run again? There we go. So I've got my new commit, I've pushed my changes and that's triggered my pipeline. So you can try triggering it again. There's also some other steps you could put into your pipeline to have a little play around with it. But well done, you've run your first pipeline and we've done it within the first half an hour. Yay. And you've got some key concepts down here. You might still be confused about a few things, but don't worry, we'll do some more. But if anyone has any questions, do stick them in the chat. Elisa, hi Lisa. No, you don't need to install a runner. No, it's just like magic, really. You just need to say which operating system you want your runner to use, and that's it. It's that easy. How do we ensure it's switched off when done? It will just, yeah, the runner, once it's executed what it needs to do, once that pipeline has succeeded, that runner will just close. It won't be used. Yeah, you don't have to shut it down, you don't have to do anything. Once the pipeline's finished running, it will just automatically close. Has anyone managed to add the extra steps? Is there a chance of duplication of the task? Meaning like if you duplicated the task, you mean like if you put the same step in twice? I think if it meant that if there was an error, then the pipeline would fail. So if by duplicating something, it caused an error, then the pipeline would fail. So if it was a problem, you would know because the pipeline would tell you it hasn't worked. Okay, yeah, so push is the most common trigger. Other ones, if someone pulls the repository, for example. So if you're working on a team, there's multiple people, and someone's pushed some work to the shared repository, and someone else pulls that remote repository to their local machine, that could also trigger the pipeline. Also, pull requests. If someone raises a pull request, that could trigger a pipeline to run tests and things like that. Please could you show the part again where you open the running workflow? How did you do this? Yeah, of course. So if I go into my code and I'll edit it, do another exclamation mark, commit my changes, and then go into actions. And here is the pipeline running. So I'm going to click on it, and you can see here, here's my job. Okay, so I'm going to click on my job, and then you've got the steps, and you can click inside any of those steps and see the logs. Cool. Okay. Shall we? Oh no. I know, you just need to know, don't you? You just need someone to show you how to do it. And I love pipelines. I love automating things, and you know, if you're doing manual steps all the time as part of your workflow, if you're installing packages, if you're building, or if you're running tests, then it's something that you can just automate it. And if you're using GitHub and you're pushing regularly to GitHub, then you can just build it into your commit. All right, let's do another one. So I'm going to go back to the pipeline workshop and open up my second pipeline. So we're going to build on the skills that we've learned in the first pipeline, looking at some different kinds of things that you can include in there. And I'm going to copy this file, go back to my code, click on this plus sign, create a new file. I don't know what I've done there. And paste it in this blue box. Okay. All right. Just have a sip of water. Okay, so we've got our second workflow now. So GitHub Actions call it a workflow, but I might use pipelines and workflow interchangeably. They're the same thing, really. So we've got our name again, but this time we've got github.actor, github. Let's see what that is. GitHub.workflow, and these things here inside the curly brackets and the $sign, these are called contexts. So it's kind of a more advanced thing. I haven't experimented with it too much, but I just wanted to include it to show you that they exist. And I think there's a link in my Markdown file where you can find out more about them, but you can take inputs as context, you can take secret values as context. So you don't have to hard code things in your YAML file. You can use context. Okay. So, and we've also got a run name. So before, when we ran the pipeline, the name that came up was the commit message. But if you don't want to use the commit message and you want a particular run name, then you can do that as well. And then we've also got our trigger looks a little bit different here, and it just does the same thing really, but I just want to show you that there's different ways that you can do it. So you've got your on, so that tells us, okay, this is about what the trigger is. And we've got on push, and then we've also got branches, and under here we can list all the branches that we want our pipeline to trigger on when we push to it. So if you've got lots of different branches in your repo, you probably haven't right now, but if you did, you could configure your pipeline a little bit more. I'm just going to have a quick look in the chat. Oh, someone's stuck. Oh, Kasia, thank you for helping. Is everyone else, can everyone else see my screen?
Yeah, can do.
Oh, brilliant. Lovely. Thank you. Okay, so, all right, so that's the trigger. And so we're down to the jobs section. And I've got 2 jobs in this pipeline. The first job is called render Figlet banner. I thought to myself, okay, rather than just outputting text in the logs, let's make it a little bit more interesting. So I did a bit of research and I found a few command line tools. One of them's Figlet and the other one is Calsay, and it just takes your text and it just makes it a bit funky. Okay, so first job, we're going to output our text in Figlet, which you'll see in a minute. And we've got our steps here. So again, check out the repository, always going to be the first step. And it uses like this checkout actions checkout version 5. It's like packaged ready-made code, so you don't have to find the command line to check out the code. It's all there for you. Okay, if you're not sure about what different things there are, you can just go into Marketplace. So if you edit your YAML file, it will open it up and you can search for things in Marketplace. Okay, so when you're starting out, you have no idea what kind of actions there are. So I suppose really today it's just about understanding that these things exist, you can search for them. But right now, I just want to introduce you to some common ones that you'll probably use. So yeah, we've got checking out the repo, and then we're going to install Figlet. So this is just line 19 is just a command to install this package. And then the next step, we're going to output the text from your notes.txt file. I'm going to take the text that's in there. We're going to store it in a variable called text, and we're going to use this Figlet library to output the text. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have another job, and so it's going to run again on a different runner, and they can actually run at the same time, which is pretty cool. So we're going to check out the repo, we're going to install Calsay, and we're going to do the same. We're going to output this text in Calsay. Okay. Knowing bash, like knowing terminal, how to put commands in the terminal, is really, really useful for pipelines. So it's just terminal speak really. So if you're not going for a pre-built action, you're going to be running terminal code. All right, so that's our second pipeline, and I'm going to commit those changes. Go into Actions. And now in our repo, we have 2 pipelines. So every time we push, we're going to run both those pipelines. So we've got my first pipelines running there. We've taken a look at that already. But here's our second pipeline. Here's my run name, you can see. And it's taken my GitHub name. It's taken my GitHub name and it's taken the name of the pipeline to put it into the title. And if we have a look here, it's succeeded. So that's really good. And we've got both the jobs here. So I can click on these. And we can see that it's installed the Figlet library onto our runner. So these are all the logs doing that. And here we go. There's my Figlet banner. Looks much nicer, doesn't it? And if we go to, so that was that one. And let's go to the Calce. Let's have a look at what the, so yeah, it's just, it's just cool. It's just really nice, isn't it? So cute, yeah. And they have other animals. You can Google it, find the other ones, and you can edit your pipeline. Let's have a look. Calce. Calce animals. Calce animals. Yeah, try one. You can try a different one. Have a go. Edit your. Go back into your pipeline. So go to code, into your workflows folder. I think I might have actually put something on there. Yeah, I've got some useful Figlet commands in here. So yeah, you can change, you can center it, you can change the type of Figlet you use. There's loads of different examples. I don't think I did the same for Calce, but yeah, if you Google it, I would love to see if you can change it, put it in the chat. Let's have a look at what you can output. It would be fun to have a look at what you're doing. Nice, Imran. Okay, does it then try and install Figlet every time there's a commit? Yes, it will. So it will, every time you commit your code, it will get a new runner. It will do everything again. Yeah, it just does it all from scratch. It's just thinking about a new server. It loads everything on. It executes each command, and then once the pipeline is done, it finishes. Someone else can use it. Is there a limit to the amount of jobs you can run in a single workflow? I don't know. I don't know. Elisa, yours failed. What happened? Did you manage to fix it?
Are you up for some live debugging?
Oh, I don't know.
I got an error. Did you save your notes.txt file in the same file as the workflows?
No, because in the workflows, you just want your pipelines to go, your pipeline files to go in there, your YAML files. So,
Okay. I'm
yeah,
getting an error saying that there's no such file or directory, and I did save it outside of. Yeah, it looks like
yeah,
yours.
it looks like this.
Yeah,
Is it spelt correctly?
good question.
Have you done note.txt or something like that, maybe?
Notes. Oh, I've done TSX. I've done a TypeScript file.
Ah, there we go. All right. So
Right.
easily done.
Thank you. I'll give that a
No
go.
worries. No worries. Right, so it's 6:42. And maybe shall we take a break? Shall we take 5 minutes now and then before we take a look at the big one? Does that sound all right? Perfect. Go and get a nice cup of tea and I'll see you at 6:47, 6:47, 6:48. How do you change which picture prints in the cow say, John? What I would do is, I think, let's have a look. Cow say, Mars, change image. Can't remember actually. I was playing around with this the other day and I can't remember. Does anyone else know? Oh, here we go. Thank you, Imran. So cow say dash F and dragons. Um, yeah, I probably could have updated the markdown. Um, but yeah, have a little play around. And I've also put in my second pipeline, I've put some challenges in there for you. There's another command line tool called lolcat, which adds colours to your text. So that would be a nice one to have a play around with. But yeah, there's some extra things in there for you. Just have a play around with it. So every time you change the pipeline, it's going to push it again, and you'll see your new output. Okay, so we'll leave it there, and I am going to close down this one and go to the full workflow pipeline. So what we've done so far really is just, I wanted you to run a pipeline, a basic pipeline, just know what the main parts of a pipeline look like, what you need to include. So actually, could you just tell me in the chat what are the main parts that you need to include in the pipeline? Could anyone tell me? Name, yeah, good. On, lovely, that's our trigger, excellent. Yeah, so it needs to know when it's going to run on. Jobs, steps, excellent, well done. So yeah, you have every pipeline needs at least one job. Every job needs at least one step. Fab. Good stuff. Okay, right. So let's go for the full workflow pipeline now. So we're going to think like in your developer workflow, it would look like you're working on some code, you're building an app, you want to test it, run some unit tests, make sure everything's passed. Once that's done, you want to build your app, transform it into something that can be deployed. That's the build process. And then you want to deploy it. You want to be able to share your app with other people. You want to see it in the browser, not just from your local host. You want to see it on an actual URL that can be shared with other people. So that's what we're going to work on now. And hopefully you've all got the link in the chat. So I've got a Node.js app here. I didn't make it. I've got Copilot to make it for me, but I wanted to take the fun that we were having with Figlet and Calce and put it into an app. So this is what I came up with. And you put your text in here. And you choose what you want to use, whether you want to use Figlet or Calce. And you've got your characters. Oh, here they all are now. Look, okay, here they are. I knew I was playing around with them before. Right, let's do dolphin. Oh, it's interesting. Dolphin, demon. Nice. Okay, so this is the app. And so you can choose from either Figlet or Calce. And if you choose Figlet, then you've got just the standard ones, really. My daughters liked Ghost. That was their favourite. So the app's not perfect. It's not beautiful, but it's fun. Okay, so this is what you guys are going to deploy as well. So let's go back to the repo. And the instructions are in myfullworkflow.md. And now this time you're going to use the code in this repo. So I thought maybe I could make it a little bit more challenging for some people. If you're very confident with GitHub, if you've been developing for a while, then feel free to also clone it, make some changes locally, push them back. But if you don't want to do that today, absolutely fine. You can continue just making changes in GitHub. All you need to do is fork this repo. So by forking it, what you're doing is you're copying the repository into your own profile. So you have a copy of it there remotely in GitHub. Okay, so it's different to cloning. If you clone a repository, you're downloading a copy of it onto your local machine. But if you fork it, you're just getting a copy in GitHub. So to fork it, if we go back to code, okay, yeah, so there's a button up here that you should be able to press to fork the repo. I can't do it because it's my own repository. Okay, so that would be fine if you've forked it, you go and use it. Keep my repo up and follow from the markdown. But then in the other window, go to your forked repository so you can run the pipeline in using your own profile. Okay. If you want to see, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you what what the steps look like manually. So we're automating the steps, but what if you weren't automating them? What would the manual process look like? Okay, so if you want to try with the manual process, you have to clone the repo locally. Okay, so they're the commands to do that. So I'm going to do that actually. So once you've forked it, if you want to clone it, you don't have to. You're going to replace the bit in the middle with your own GitHub username, okay? Okay, so I've cloned it. I've changed directory into that directory. So manual steps would be npm install. So this is a Node.js app. So if you've got any dependencies, any libraries that your app uses, you have to install them, okay? So that's the first step. Okay, so they've been installed. I've got some warnings, some vulnerabilities. I'm not going to worry about those today. And now I'm going to run the test. Okay, so my app has some tests and we're going to run those and make sure that they work. So npm test. And maybe I'll make this bigger so that it's okay, npm test. Okay, excellent. I've got 2 tests, 3 tests, and they've all passed. So that's good. So my tests have passed. Now I'm going to build my app. Okay, so I'm going to package it up. I'm going to get rid of bits that aren't needed. Going to package it up into something that can be deployed. So to do that, npm run build. Enter. Okay, that looks good. It's been built. Fabulous. And we can see that it has put the built files in a folder called dist, which is short for distribution. So that's where all those built files live, so that we can deploy them later. So we've built it. We can preview it if we want to. npm run preview. And it's running on my local machine, and it's given me a link so that I can copy and paste in my browser. And here it is. So that's running locally on my machine. And I'm just going to quit out of that. And now I can publish this distribution folder to a GitHub Pages branch. Okay, and here's my code for that. I can do that. And they're my manual steps. Okay, now if I wanted to do that manually, then in the settings I would have to have my source as deploy from a branch, which I don't have because I'm deploying from GitHub Actions. But that is deploy from a branch is the default setting in your GitHub pages. Okay. So every time you did some work, you made some changes, you would have to run those commands manually in your terminal. Okay, so I just wanted you to see what that looked like. Now let's have a look at this YAML file. let's go to my repositories. This. So it's in .github/workflows, and here's our YAML. Okay. And we've got our name. The trigger also looks a little bit different this time. I just wanted to show you the different ways that you can do your trigger. So just like before, it runs on push, and you can do it like a list. You can also put it in these brackets. And if you wanted to add more branches, you could do a comma and you can add more branches. That's another way to do it. Okay. And we've also got something new called workflow dispatch, which is pretty cool. And what it means is it allows you to run the pipeline even without committing a change or without doing any other trigger. If you have workflow dispatch in your pipeline, you can just select it to run. So I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. And because we're deploying to GitHub pages, we have to change our permissions. So you can do that in the settings. You can go to settings and down to pages. And you can see our options here. So you can either deploy from a branch or deploy from GitHub Actions. What was the other setting I wanted to show you? Oh, the permissions. Sorry, it was the permissions. So that's not pages, that's somewhere else. Where else is that? I'm not sure where that is. I'll have a think about it. It will come to me later. But yeah, so you need certain permissions to be able to deploy to GitHub pages, okay? So that's what this block of code is there for. We've not needed it before, but we need it now. And then we've got our jobs. So we're going to show, we've got jobs like a general developer workflow. We're going to test, then we're going to build, then we're going to deploy. So we've got our jobs for this. They're all running on the same runner. You can see I haven't put a name for all of my steps. You don't have to do that. That's optional. So I haven't used that here. But this is quite interesting. Okay, so this build job, it needs the test job to have successfully completed for the build job to run. And this is really useful because it means that if your tests fail, it won't go ahead and do all the other jobs. It will just stop. Okay. So like before, they all use the checkouts. And this is just npm install. I think it's npm CI is just more reliable, more faster. It's good for running builds and test jobs. But yeah, so then we've got npm test there. We've got our npm run build here. It actually creates an artifact. So an artifact is really cool. It's like it creates like a set of files that you can use to deploy or use in another part of the pipeline. So it's actually creating something that can be passed from one job to another. So that's what artifacts does. And then we've got our final job, which is deploy. It won't run unless build successfully completes. And this is just stuff that I've found out just by having a look at the docs, using AI to help me. You just, as you learn or you use pipelines, you will become aware of what the steps need. Okay, so some steps need some extra information. Okay, I'll just stop and check the chat. What AI tools are you using? So luckily I've got GitHub Copilot. I get that with work, and it's great. It's really good because it's all integrated in VS Code, and it's linked to GitHub. So yeah, it's very useful. Okay. Right, let's run this pipeline. So if I go to Actions, I'm going to make this bigger. And I'll click on Full Workflow Pipeline. Can you see here this blue box? This is because I've added Workflow Dispatch as an event trigger. So it's really cool. It means that I don't have to commit anything. I don't have to add an exclamation mark. I can just run my workflow from Actions. And it's running the test job. And you can see the other jobs are not going to run until the test job is complete. So test is complete. It's now building the app. That's finished. So now it's going to deploy it. Very exciting. Is it going to succeed? Yes, it succeeded. So I've got some warnings here, and we won't worry about those now. We'll look at them in a minute. But what I want to do is I want to go to settings, and I want to go to pages, and I want to see the URL that my site is running live at. So I can copy that or just click on visit site, and there it is. So hopefully you guys can have a go at running that pipeline and getting it deployed. Oh, Imran. So Imran spotted, is there a reason you use checkout version 4 here versus version 5? In the first and second pipelines we worked on earlier. So Imran, well spotted. When I used AI to help me write these pipelines, it gave me an older version. Okay, so the information that it's using is outdated. Okay, so it's given me version 4, and that is why I'm getting these warnings. So if I go back into Actions, I'm getting these warnings because it's outdated. So I would like you guys to try and fix that, please. So go into the pipeline. And I've actually put something in. I put a little bit of information about this because you're not going to know what version to what's the right version. Okay. So if I scroll down to the bottom of my worksheet, there's some extra challenges there, but this is what I wanted to show you. So how do we know that we're using the right version? Okay, so you're going to open up your workflow file and you're going to go to edit. So let's find that workflow file. So I'm going to click on edit and it's going to open up Marketplace. All right. So if I click on checkout, if I write checkout in here, checkout by actions, and it's going to tell me the latest version. So actually it should be version 6. So you guys can go in, you can update your version so that it's using the latest version. And I think this node version, this is also outdated. I think that needs to be 24. So yeah, go in and update and see if you can get rid of those warnings. Ella, Claude, yeah, before I started my job, I was using Claude because lots of people recommended, they said it was really good for coding. GitHub Copilot I use because it's integrated with GitHub and I get it for free with work. So, you know, it's really, really useful. I don't know that much about the differences between them. I would love to know more about the you know, the differences between the different Gen AI chatbots and stuff, but I don't. They use the same models, don't they? And yeah, I don't know, but I haven't used Claude for ages. What part of the workflow pipeline is generating the DAG? I'm not sure what you mean by DAG.
Sorry, I meant it showed like test, build, deploy.
Test, build, deploy.
Yeah.
In here. Oh, here.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
So these are the jobs. So I've got 3 jobs in my pipeline, and it's just telling you the names of the jobs.
Okay. Is that like a NPM thing?
It's like it's the different stages of the workflow, I would say. So you run the tests. If they pass, then you build it. So yeah, they do. It would be NPM test, NPM builds. Yeah. So it's just like using those commands manually in your terminal. Instead, you just you're automating it with different jobs.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Kind of, yeah. I just saw Christina's visualization of the YAML. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I think so. Yeah. Thank you.
No worries. Elisa, thank you for sharing your ASCII art. I love it. Thank you. Can't one use Claude within GitHub Copilot? Good question. I think so. Yes. Let's have a look. So I can. Where do I choose my agent? Here, yes, yeah. Yeah. So I've got all these different models that I can use. Yeah. So if you know about your LLMs, depending on what you're doing, you might switch to a different model. I think they're all good, to be honest. I was expecting there to be somewhere to disable a workflow so it won't run when I next make an edit. I was looking at this, but don't see something similar. Okay. Yeah. Maybe you could just take out the trigger. Just get rid of the trigger. If it doesn't have a trigger, it won't run. Cool. Okay. Let's put that back. All right, so that's how to find your actions and check versions. So there's some extra challenges for you here. Can you break a test on purpose and just make sure that if the test job doesn't pass and the build and deploy don't run? Add a deployment message. After deploy, add a step that prints the page's URL. That would be nice, that would be handy. And remove the version warnings. Has anyone managed to remove the version warnings? Does it work when you update your version? Nice. And has everyone managed to run the full workflow pipeline? Nice, Steve. Excellent. Brilliant. Really, really good. Okay. Should we have a quiz? Who's up for a quiz? Imran, your workflow doesn't seem to run the test portion. That's strange. Is it giving you an error message? If you click in the job, what's it saying? Where's it failing? Can you tell me where it's failing?
It seems to be deploying fine.
Yeah.
It's just not running that test portion, and I don't have the manual trigger. I'll have to look into it. I think maybe I missed this step while I was following along.
No worries.
But yeah, it's fine. I've got the website that I'm going to play around with.
Okay, so if I put I'm going to put the questions in the chat. And so here's the first question, for example. Can you see that? It looks a bit light. All right, so if someone puts an answer, if you agree with their answer, can you thumbs up their answer, maybe? And then we can just get some numbers, but lots of Bs. And that is the correct answer. Well done. All right, next question. Where do the workflow YAML files live? Nice. I'm not going to do all these questions. I'm going to just be selective. In GitHub Actions, what is a workflow? I'm sorry about the faint font. Awesome. Okay, what does a workflow trigger do? Excellent. Okay, let's do this one. What is the purpose of uploading a build artifact before deployment? Well done, folks. Great work. And what is workflow dispatch used for? Yeah, very nice. And last one, why do teams automate pipelines? Excellent. Oh, well done, team. Good job. Good job, everyone. We're at the end of our session now. I would love to know how you are feeling about pipelines now compared to before. How are you feeling? Has it improved your confidence? Less terrified. Excellent. Oh, thank you. Nice. Thank you, G. Thank you. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it was fun. It was really nice. Nice working with you all. And yeah, lovely to meet you. Enjoy your journey. And maybe I should share my LinkedIn profile. I'll just share my my handle. So it's Emma Jourzac. Please feel free to follow me, and if you ever want to talk about pipelines, yeah,